All right, let's rev it up on a Monday. I am ready to talk college football with all of you. Appreciate you being here. And loaded lineup today. Yeah, there are no huge, enormous stories out there in college football, but it just seems as though as I was jotting down things that I wanted to talk about, wanted to hit on, maybe you guys wanted to as well, thought, man, a lot to get to here. And I see I'm giving some obvious free advertising to somebody. That was not intentional. But if we have any Nike officials out there, we can be bought. So certainly let us know. I've certainly bought enough of your products throughout the years that I should be able to justifiably say, yeah, I've used the products because I purchased this over the weekend because I was buying some new tennis shoes and that looked good. That looked good. That looked good. Let's get a couple t-shirts here as well. So we threw it on. I got to say, if t-shirts shrink in the wash, though, this one may have to go back. We are certainly loaded up with enough water here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 bottles of water. Many of those have to go back into the fridge or into the trash. But none of you care about that. You care about college football and 12 days away. We will point out the significance of that. It is Georgia Tech and Florida State from Dublin a week from Saturday. So think about this. This Saturday, end of the week, the next Saturday. Appreciate you all being here at the Voice of College Football. You know the deal. We are here every day, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. We take the weekends off, even though we truly don't take the weekends off. Monday through Friday through the national championship game. I can guarantee into the next morning, we will wrap up the national championship game on that Tuesday. And then maybe we take a day off after that. Okay, but we are here knocking it dead. Chris Gates Fitness, of course. Check out the training program, the training camp, and we will talk a little bit more about that soon. Our partner, Chris Gates Fitness. What a deal. All right, let's get to some calls. Again, I've got a long list of topics, but hey, if we've got them lined up, let's go. We've got our guy Jeffrey on the line. Jeffrey, what's going on?
Doing pretty good, Mark. How about you?
I am good. What's on your mind?
Awesome. I saw, obviously, the thumbnail. You had Deion Sanders. Oh, boy. I mean, all I can say is it sucks because I like Deion Sanders. You know why? He's a great player. He was a great player, you know, and all I know is my dad, watching football for a very long time, you know, would talk to me about all the players in the past. And Deion Sanders was one that frequently came up that he enjoyed watching. And I mean, I don't know if you remember or not, but when he got hired last year at Colorado and he was getting all this hype and people were just overblowing everything with him and all that out of proportion. Oh, they're going to go 9-3 or whatever. And then some of his statements and the image and all that kind of stuff, it was getting on my nerves. And it was frustrating because, again, I got nothing against Deion, but I really do feel like Deion's kind of gone off the rails just completely with the way that he's been acting. I mean, it's not even just what's happened yesterday or 2 days ago, whenever the press conference was, the media conference that he just had. But, I mean, it's been over time. Like, I remember a statement a while back that he said when somebody was talking about his son not being the best player or whatever, which, I mean, his son's a good quarterback. He's a really good player. But, like, he was telling him that, oh, your son's not a good player, mine is. Just stuff like that. Like, Deion's just kind of, I don't know, he's taking it too far at times. And I feel like if he doesn't watch, you know, I guess his way of going about things, and I feel like he's going to lose, like, a lot of support across college football, a lot more than he already has. And that's just sad to see because I don't want that to happen for him. But he's not really being wise. But I don't really know what your thoughts are on it because I really haven't heard your take on the whole Deion thing. But that's just kind of the way I feel about it.
Yeah, so I posted a few videos last season when he became the phenom that he was last season. And, of course, he's been a phenom, as you mentioned, for decades. But as a coach of Colorado in particular, he, of course, did some amazing things in terms of not necessarily on the field or record, but in regards to hype and popularity and TV ratings. He turned that Colorado program and team into a draw. So I certainly took some needless hits when I produced a couple videos last season because, of course, people are going to hear the negative and not the positive, because the positive I felt at that point outweighed the negative. I certainly had some issues with Deion and the way he presented himself. So let's start at the top. So you brought to light him taking over the program, and he took it over in a very harsh, brash way. Okay, that's his style. I get it. People in this day and age are going to defend style, and just because somebody has a certain personality or style doesn't mean that they have. Oh, they have the right. They have the right, and I want them to have the right to exude themselves and put themselves out there in any way that they want. But when you become the head football coach of a major university, it's not or shouldn't be about you. It should be about, and you should be taking into account that you represent thousands or potentially millions of people. You represent your team, you represent the program, the athletics department, the administration, the state. You represent everybody who's ever gone to school there. It is more than just you. It is not about you and your show and you and your personality. Now, there was a comment made the other day by somebody who was on here, and I thought it was very astute, one of our guests, who said that Deion Sanders brings his own brand to college football. So any other coach that's famous, we could list them off. It's all due to college football. They became famous because of college football. He is his own entity. He was famous way before college football for so many reasons. First and foremost, because he could play cornerback about as well as anyone in the history of the NFL. That's where his brand started, or in college football. And but aside from the sport, he is a name, and he doesn't need the sport to be a celebrity. But he's in the sport now and representing a university. So when he took over the program and gave this NFL approach to it in this harsh, I'm gonna, get your bags ready, most of you, because you're gonna be hitting the deck. Okay, you're at a university and a college, and a lot of people would instantly, and I get it, would push back on that statement to say, well, Mark, they're getting paid now. It's like the NFL. Most of them, this is still college football. To the great majority of these players, they will not make a living playing college football. They need their degree. They need a boost into life. So you are still a college football coach. And he seems very thin-skinned. You're going to have reporters in the room who have taken shots at you, whether justified or not. Most coaches would typically think that they're not, but you're going to have that. And maybe you can determine as an individual whether somebody crossed the line and really got personal, and then you confront that and you deal with that. But in terms of just general criticism of how are you building this program, how are you presenting this program, is this sustainable, all the things that have generally been the questions to this point and the concerns, he needs to be able to deal with them like a man and not just take this offended front to everything.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it's an unfortunate thing because, and I'm sure, you know as well as anybody from watching sports for a long time, that players in a way can get away with more than coaches. It's just the way that it is. You can be, basically a terrible human being for the most part. But if you're a great player, a lot of people will overlook a lot of the faults of a player, as long as it's not too egregious. But with a coach, if you're not winning, it doesn't matter. Fans want that team to win, and they're like, you're getting paid for us to, help us be a better team. And if you're not doing it, then you're going to get criticized. And And unfortunately, with coaches, if you I wouldn't say if you have a shtick, but if you have like a certain abrasive personality, or even maybe an aggressive personality, if you're winning, then it's for the most part it's okay. I mean, like Bob Knight. I mean, that's a perfect example of a guy that outside of like Indiana fans or some college basketball fans, nobody likes him, but Indiana fans think that he is the greatest thing ever because of the fact that he won a lot and 3 national championships for Indiana basketball. But other people didn't like him because of what he did, but Indiana fans overlooked that. But if Bob Knight didn't win, then Indiana fans would have torn him apart, because every single thing that the coach right now at Indiana, Mike Woodson, in basketball, they're tearing him apart for every little thing that he says because they just want to win. And that's fine. But, I mean, it's just you can't get away with anything. I mean, PJ Fleck, everybody was on PJ Fleck's train. Oh, I love PJ Fleck's personality. I remember when I first started calling in to your show and other shows, and I started like really being on YouTube a few years ago. That was back when PJ Fleck was winning. And like, I remember everybody was like, I love PJ Fleck. He's like one of my favorite coaches. Like, I don't like Minnesota, but I love the guy. Tom Allen even got a lot of that in Indiana football. But then once Tom Allen started losing, PJ Fleck is now going in the wrong direction. Things change. People are like, oh, I don't like the shtick anymore. Well, like what you said with Deion, that's just the way he is. I wouldn't even say it's a shtick. It's not a fake thing. It's just the way that he is. But like you said, with him being thin-skinned at times and not being able to take anything, you can get away with it as a player. He was a fantastic player, and nothing will ever change that. But as a coach, yeah, he took over a rough situation, but the fact that the media propped him up, I mean, I look at it similar to Bronny James. Bronny James is not a good basketball player, nowhere near the level of athlete that people are saying that he is just because he's LeBron's son, but he gets hyped up to death. I mean, is he a better basketball player than me? Absolutely. But he shouldn't have been drafted. But he's getting all the hype and media propping him up because he's LeBron's son. And Deion is the same way. Deion Sanders is a better player than Bronny by far for what he is at this point. But it's the way that it goes, though. Deion Sanders he's not the player anymore. He's the coach now, and the way he's handling things at Colorado right now are just pretty poorly, and it sucks because I mean his popularity is tanked. Before he took this job, 90% of people liked him, and now I don't even know if it's 50 at this point, 50% of people. And it's like, imagine like LeBron James becomes a coach. Then yeah, it's just going to completely shift. It's wild to me how, again, people will oversight so much with a player if they're good, but as a coach, it even is the same thing. If you're a good coach like Bob Knight, it's okay, but if you're not winning and you're doing these things and it's wrong, I think it's wrong both ways. I just feel like people just tend to overlook things if things are going well or you're a fantastic player. I don't know. It's a double standard. Because again, I still like Deion, but again, I try not to look at Deion as the player and as the coach. I try to look at it as the person, but he isn't really just going about things very well. But him being a coach now, he just can't get away with anything anymore.
Well, to be fair, he has yet to play a game in the second season, so he hasn't failed yet. He has
I agree with that.
Season in the books, so it doesn't appear as though necessarily until he starts winning, then a lot of these things that you talk about are going to be excused because, yeah, people care about winning and it's going to be accepted to a certain extent. Now, there's always going to be a portion of people that are not going to like it regardless of whether he's winning or not. So there's going to be a small portion of people, but winning will win over most, even non-Colorado fans that just say, well, he's getting the job done. He's pretty amazing. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. That's kind of this, but he can get away with it because he's winning. He can do whatever he wants. But if he loses, then he can't. As you well know, your buddy Kurt Signetti takes over the Indiana football program, and he takes the mic at a basketball game, and he shoots down Ohio State and Michigan. Well, 3 years from now, that's either going to be cool because he made strides and he resurrected the program and lifted them to new heights. And that was cool. And that was an awesome thing to do. And he was bold and brash and he pulled through and delivered. Or that was stupid. That was dumb. He was just saying stupid things that are mindless and mean nothing about taking down the two best programs in the conference. So it all depends on whether you deliver. Yes, that is the bottom line for most, although there should be some, I believe, some kind of decorum and some type of approach that should be more reasonable. And again, he's a college football coach representing a university, a state, a fan base, and a team. It's not about, when he was a player, he represented himself. When he was a TV personality, spokesperson for Affleck and whomever else, he represented himself. Yes, you are your own brand, but he should not be his own brand now.
I agree. And the Kurt Signetti thing is a fantastic point. I agree 100%. Because, even though he's won all prior to that, all the success he's had prior to Indiana, if he does not win at Indiana, make them a successful program for Indiana standards, then people are going to say that was the dumbest thing that he ever said. But if he does, and Indiana is going 9-3 every year, then they'll be like, he delivered and whatever. But to your point, and I kind of feel like referenced it earlier, but again, to reiterate, I don't feel that whether you win or not, or whether you're a good player or not, and I know you agree with this, should be the determining factor. Because like Jackson wrote in the chat, winning cures all. Yeah, it does. But if you're winning and that's all people care about, as the person itself, I try to separate the person versus their success, but it's almost impossible because you don't know them personally. It's all perception. You don't know them, right? Kind of like you said. I mean, we can, say Tom Allen's a fantastic person. Even though everybody doesn't like him anymore because he didn't win at Indiana, or he did for brief and then fell apart. But it's we don't know Tom Allen personally. I like Tom Allen a lot. I thought he was, when he was headbutting players, I thought it was fantastic. But I don't know him personally. But see, that's the thing. We're just fans. We don't know any of these people. But it's all what you see in the brief moments that you have with them in front of the media, and then the team's success is the main determining factor on whether someone likes a coach or not. And or a player. I was using generalization because, like you said, there's always going to be people that don't like somebody. Nick Saban was the most successful coach in college football history, and there's tons of people that can't stand him. I mean, obviously, for sure. But if you ask someone that's not a really avid college football fan whether they like Nick Saban or not, or do they have a positive or negative a feeling of Nick Saban? Most people would probably say neutral to positive because he won. I mean, no complaints there. But then you take Deion right now, and that's not the same. But yes, if he starts to win, like you said this year, if they go 8-4, that will change. But still, everybody in the chat saying that his shtick's got old, it's because he's not winning. Are you going to be okay with his shtick if they go 9-3 this year? That's the thing. Because PJ Fleck, when they went 11-2 that year, his shtick was fantastic. Now people are calling him a clown and he's no good and all. It's people generalize things. We don't know PJ Fleck as a person. We don't know Deion as a person very well. We know Deion better than Fleck because we got more media exposure. But really, even in front of the media, you don't know a person. It's just, Mr. Beast. I don't really want to bring up Mr. Beast, but Mr. Beast right now has gone from everybody loved him to now he's just completely fallen off a cliff because of some things. So I don't know. It's just, I think perception and reality and just when you don't truly know somebody, but you only get a few glimpses and whether you base a person's, whether you like a person off whether they're successful or just the person themselves, you still don't really know them. It's a crazy phenomenon. I think it's one of the most interesting parts of sports in general. And I'm glad that with this news of Deion and all that, people are just slam dunking on him. I'm just glad I got to come on and talk about it for a few minutes because I just think that a lot of times people's perceptions are just skewed all over the place when it comes to individuals. And a lot of it has to do whether you win or lose. And sometimes it shouldn't be that way. But I don't know if I'm making any sense, but that's just kind of
You're making sense, Jeffrey. You always make sense. And I agree with 90-some% of it. I would push back on a few little minor items because nobody agrees on everything top to bottom 100%. So want to get to some other calls, but everybody know that Only Talk Sports is where you can find Jeffrey. So he's got a great YouTube channel. So check out Only Talk Sports. Jeffrey would love to talk about this more, but I want to get to some other callers here. So I appreciate you being here.
Absolutely, Mark. Appreciate the shout out. And everybody like and subscribe to the Voice of College Football, and have a great rest of the show, Mark. Thanks.
Our guy Jeffrey does a great job. We appreciate Jeffrey being here. We will get to our next call here at the Voice of College Football. Keep in mind the Amazon links in the description section of all the videos. Grab the Amazon link. Please use it. It is transparent to you. You will not even know that you're using that link. It instantaneously pulls up your account, your history, your everything that you need to keep track of everything that you do on Amazon. So it's transparent to you. It's the one way that you can contribute to the channel financially without spending one penny. So why spend and send more money to a true $2 trillion company when you can shoot us $3 or $4 or $5? Think about it that way. So the Amazon link's in the description section of all the videos. The one thing I'll say before I take this next call is, Jeffrey was talking about the person, separating winning from the person. Jackson had made a comment in the comment section about winning cures all. Well, it depends what your objective is, and depends on how we're evaluating the person, the individual, the coach. That's what we're evaluating first and foremost, a coach, because that's why he is the position. Let's face it, we don't care about his personal life, what he does, whatever. He's hired to be a college football coach and to win games and to get some other things done in regards to leading young men and doing a upstanding job, I believe, while winning football games. So winning cures all. Yes. In most people's eyes, if Deion Sanders goes 10-2 for the next 3 years and continues to act exactly the way he is right now, to 90% of you, that's fine. I'll look at it differently. There are all sorts of college football coaches. David Shaw's program was a disaster when he left. What exactly happened? I don't know, because he took over a thriving program from Jim Harbaugh. He sustained excellence. We are talking about when people diss Stanford now and say they don't belong in major college football. Why'd the ACC pick them up? They're not going to be able to find a home. You are either 12 years old or you need to just kind of pull back and gain a little awareness and pull away from your recency bias. Okay, this is a program that was one of the 5 best programs in the country, 5 to 10 best programs in the country for a 5 or 6 year stint. But in David Shaw, they just declined, leveled off 8-4 in that range. And they were a good program, and then off the cliff. But David Shaw left, and I can evaluate not David Shaw as a person. I don't know the man as a person. I don't know what goes on behind closed doors and how he treats people and how he conducts himself and how he lives out his values or anything like that. But I can evaluate David Shaw as a person operating a football program, as an individual, aside from his coaching success or lack thereof, to say that guy was outstanding in terms of how he dealt with the media, how he conducted himself, seemingly how he conducted his team, related to his players, led his players, did all those things. David Shaw has a completely spotless record as an individual in public. The coaching should have been fired, was fired, 3-9. Okay, that's enough. You're out. 2 separate things. How he conducted himself as a person, individual within his coaching position, not as a private individual toward his wife, family, friends, business associates, and so forth. But no, how he conducted himself as a person within the coaching profession. Outstanding. Okay. Still got fired because he didn't get the job done. All right. We will remind you that we're here for an hour solid every Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We do have an opportunity for overtime. I don't think my next appointment, this is pretty incredible. I don't think my next appointment is until, is this right, 5 p.m. today? 5 p.m. Got a lot of videos and other things to make before 5 o'clock, but I'll sit here till 5 o'clock with your support, and we'll pull up the banner. $100 for the second hour. We will continue on through. Otherwise, 1 hour full throttle. And here we go. I got a list of things to get to, but I'd rather talk to you, so we will take calls. We've got our guy Michael on the line. Michael, what's going on?
Hey, Mark. Good morning, sir. How's your weekend?
Good morning. Just fine. How about
Not
you?
bad. Not bad. Hey, I got to ask, did you get yourself a new laptop yet? Or are you still using the same one from 1927?
Not 1927, Michael. 1941.
Okay.
Let's get the year straight.
All right.
Well, we've got two laptops working right now. So we got this one that's giving me problems because that is from 2010. That all I need this baby to do, besides not lose what I've got stored on it, is just operate the monitor here. And I was having trouble with that last week. I just got to fire the thing up about 15 minutes early to get it revved up, and then we get a laptop that we should not be using as a camera because we've spent plenty of money buying an actual semi-professional camera, but we haven't used it for a couple of years. So yes, thanks for checking in on our laptop situation.
All right. I got to ask, is it me or is the NCAA a bunch of idiotic morons?
I think it's them.
I mean, why would you give a guy a 5-year show cause knowing that he's never going to go back into college, coaching college football again?
For the just to do it, basically to show we've covered every base, and we can understand that there have been plenty of coaches that have coached in the NFL that have come back to college football, and you're about probably stating a 90-some% certainty, but it's not a 100% certainty that he would not come back to college football. John Robinson coached at USC, went to the Los Angeles Rams, and then found his job waiting for him back at USC. So it can happen. So they need to cover their bases, number one. Number two, they just need to do it just to show, hey, they can't control Jim Harbaugh's career moves. What else can they do to him?
True. I mean, I don't know if he's going to appeal it or not, though, but how bad do you think the egg would be on their face if he appealed it and got it overturned? Which I know it will not happen, though.
Well, it would be pretty bad. Sure.
Would that be pretty much the death knell of the NCAA as we know it if that happened?
Well, I think they have other issues. They've been handing out penalties for violations for years and years and years and years. And they're, regardless of what we think of their penalties and their evaluation of situations and the penalties that they've handed out, which I would say about 80% of the time, I don't have an issue with the penalties that they hand out. I do about 20% of the time. I don't think it addresses the culprits in the situation, and it's difficult to do, but it can be done. But they are losing their credibility and they are losing their power because of other factors within the sport that are pushing them out.
Another thing I was trying to figure out, like piggyback into last night's show and stuff. Did you have what games are you looking for that could be trap games this year? Yourself.
Trap games?
Yes.
Define a trap game.
Oh, say like I don't know, maybe like Tulsa going to like the Ohio State and shocking the world.
Well, if we're going to that extent, I don't think they exist. But I would have to look at team schedules to identify trap games, because to me, trap games are games in which the public perception is that a particular team is not as good as they truly are. Let's say it's James Madison or it's Liberty or it's whoever, and that team is actually better than we give them credit for. And they are playing a team that's maybe slightly overrated, but it's also in a spot where that team could be vulnerable. Maybe they had a difficult game the week before. They've got a difficult game upcoming, and it's smack dab in the middle of two premier games, and so they could be overlooking that opponent. But since I don't have the schedule in front of me, I can't identify any trap games off the top of my head.
Okay, now are you going to be doing your weekly spread show like you did last year, where you pick certain games and stuff like that?
Where I do
Again
what?
this year, where you had I can't remember what the guy's name is. You guys went through 5 games. You picked the games against the spread, the point spread.
Yeah.
Or you...
So what we did, our buddy Steve Merrill from Wager Talk is going to be back with us, and I just looked at this the other day. He's been with us for 6 seasons. And so what we do is we record every Thursday and we go through as many games as we can get to. And we highlight typically, of course, the best games of the week, but also the games that impact our team channels. And then we provide his analysis on all those various teams and games on those channels. Yes, we will have that again. And then he does his under the radar pick, which was 21-5 the last 2 years, 21-5 against the spread. And so then that's available for YouTube and Patreon members. And we have a whole new rollout to our predictions and what we provide here at the Voice of College Football that we will be announcing here in the next couple days.
Okay. I was just like, I got to say, one of the games I'm looking forward to is the Fresno State Michigan game. I think Michigan wins. I don't know if they cover, though. But then again, I don't know how good Fresno State going to be this year.
Well, we know they lost their head coach.
Yeah.
So he is a excellent head coach. And so I would feel a little bit more confident about giving Fresno State some type of a chance of competing if he was still around, because the interim coach, he's a complete wild card. Like, I'm not going to discard him in any way because he may step in and do an outstanding job, but he's just a wild card as a head coach. We don't know.
Yeah. And another thing, it's a 2-part question. First one is, how is Jamie Chadwick still not a Power 4 head coach yet?
Well, I think that's coming. Maybe he could have held out for a Power 4 job, but he decided to leave Coastal Carolina and take the Liberty job. So I think he has some control over that. But I'm sure that he has been contacted by plenty of Power 4 positions, but probably hasn't come across the one that he feels would put him in a place where he can succeed. But I would be surprised if that doesn't come in the next 3 or 4 years at the outset.
Now, do they play each other this year? Are they both in the Sun Belt, or is it just Coastal Carolina's in the Sun Belt?
Yes, Liberty went from independent into, that's a great question. I just went through all these conferences the other day. Did they go into the Sun Belt? That's a great question. It's only a couple clicks away.
Yeah, I was wondering.
I've done a poor job of keeping track of where 5 years ago it would have been nothing to run through every team in every conference. Once we get into the Conference USA and the Sun Belt,
Conference USA is where Liberty went.
Forgotten. Pardon me?
Conference USA is where Liberty went.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I figured. I did not think that they went into the Sun Belt. Okay. Very good.
Speaking of Coastal Carolina, how do you think they'll do this year since he took off? It took the job of Liberty.
Coastal Carolina.
Or is that Troy's conference to win?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Is it Troy's conference to win this year, or do you think Coastal Carolina will have a say in the matter?
Yeah, I did very little concerning any of those teams. I couldn't tell you one thing about Coastal Carolina and Liberty right now.
I was wondering because I didn't know if he was doing a group of 5 thing or not this year. Or are you just sticking primarily with the Power 4?
Yeah, that's what I can keep up with. Now, when we did our program rankings, I certainly looked at coaching changes there, and I looked at those programs a little bit more from a big picture standpoint. But yeah, can't tell you the personnel at Troy or at Coastal Carolina. I don't think people are here to listen to any analysis concerning those teams. So I don't have time to. I would love to see the two play. I would love to watch any of their games. It has nothing to do with watching them, but yeah. Not
I
enough
know.
time in the day to keep track of Troy and Coastal Carolina.
True. No, I was working. I know they. I think how many teams from a group of 5 are eligible to make the playoff this year?
How many are eligible?
Well, I mean,
70.
no, I mean, what I'm asking is how many could actually be realistically make the group of 12 playoff?
One.
Just one.
One.
They only take one.
One.
Wonder who that's going to be this year.
That's the mix, the minimum and the maximum.
Wow.
That's technically not the maximum, but somebody give me a scenario in which a second group of 5 is going to make the playoff.
True. Never know.
No.
But anyway, no, I'm just wondering stuff like that. No, I was going to ask about that and stuff like that, talking to the group of 5 and stuff like that. Oh, did you get a chance to get that sent out yet, sir?
To do what?
Did you get a chance to get that? Did you get that sent out yet? That book?
Did I get that book?
No, I'll message you on Twitter later about something about the Phil Steele books, the Phil Steele magazines.
Yeah, I got my Phil Steele magazine.
Right.
I got 2 of them.
I know. I'll message you about that later after here when I'm done with the call and stuff like that. But all right, Mark.
I don't really know what there's to message about, so don't expect a very long answer.
Oh,
okay,
no.
Michael.
All right,
Appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Talk is Pitt.
How you doing, Mark?
I'm doing great. What's going on? Looks like I've lost my monitor again. What's going on?
Well, somebody on my new Twitter account, my old one got permanently suspended, has got into an argument with BYU fans, and wish I didn't say some things I said, but that's over and done with. So I did follow you on your on my new one, but somebody tagged me in the press conference that Deion Sanders had made, and I wasn't sure why. So I looked at it, and of course, once again, he's referencing Pat Narduzzi and Pitt and Deion Hayes. And the thing that is getting on my nerves about it is he keeps poking the bear with Pat Narduzzi, and Pat Narduzzi's really trying to ignore it because he doesn't want to get into a drama-filled media fist fight with Deion. But from what he said, it seems like he's basically admitting that he poached 2 of our players by saying we want to thank Pat Narduzzi and Pitt for getting Sam Okunlola and Deion Hayes ready for us. And to me, not only is that admitting he poached it, it also means he can't develop players, in my personal opinion. Now, I mean, I'm not the most knowledgeable college football fan in the world. I don't pretend to be. But if you're going to keep antagonizing a program that you probably will never see on the football field, barring a playoff appearance or a bowl game, it's just making you look bad. It's like you're purposely trying to antagonize him. And my message to Deion Hayes is, you were arrested for felony battery and domestic violence, and Pat Narduzzi gave you a second chance to play on his team, and then you're going to go out and say, well, I don't think Pitt can win. They're not any good, and blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. Well, newsflash, Deion, you were on that team that wasn't any good.
You bring up a lot of great things here, a lot of interesting things here. So my first question would be, we know that Pat Narduzzi at one point took a shot at Lincoln Riley concerning the Jordan Addison situation in particular, and I think he's generally just taken a blanket shot at the new era of college football and some of the less than ethical ways that coaches have gone about acquiring players. So has Pat Narduzzi said anything about Deion Sanders in particular?
Not lately, no. He hasn't said anything. And the reporter asked him about the comments that Deion made, and he's like, who? I don't know who that is. I got better stuff to worry about.
He doesn't know who that is. Now, that's a stupid statement to make. He knows exactly who he's addressing.
He's being sarcastic. Like he doesn't have time for that. He got better things to worry about. If those players are gone now, they're gone.
He does. He has much more important things to worry about than a coach that's 2,000 miles away that is pretty inconsequential to college football in terms of wins and losses and so forth right now. Yep.
Exactly. I mean, he's more worried about making sure Pitt never goes 3-9 in his tenure, at least, ever again. I think he's definitely improved. The roster with adding transfers from Kansas State, Alabama, Oregon State. Programs we normally would never, ever, ever get transfers from. So, I mean, he's doing a lot better. But the thing, and I even made a video about this the other day, yesterday or the day before. Like, if Deion wants to be a good football coach, he needs to stop being a diva. Stop attention seeking. Because it's not going to look good on him if he can't separate himself as a player. Because I think he still has that mindset that he's a football player and not totally has transitioned over into the mindset of being a coach.
So I don't know that exists in Deion. So I agree with what you're saying. That's the result. Yes, he treats the head coaching position like a single individual, and it's almost like if you work in a company or corporation, there is being a individual contributor where you just come into work and you do your job, and that's all you need to worry about. Or you get elevated to management, then you certainly then have to think about, how is the operation running? I have to deal with certain people. I'm responsible for them. I'm responsible for their production, et cetera, et cetera. Yes, Deion Sanders is the college football coach for the major university in the state. He represents thousands and thousands of alumni, fans, the institution itself, the administration, the athletic department, everything, but he doesn't treat it like that. He is still just being Deion Sanders, celebrity.
Yeah, and that's more of an appropriate way to try to explain what I mean. I like Deion as a player. I grew up watching him. I've met him on 2 different occasions when I was a little kid. I wish I could actually find the photo in one of my storage boxes of me and him. I don't know why people all of a sudden just are like hopping on the Colorado bandwagon train. And this is the last thing I'll say before I leave. I don't know why everybody's all of a sudden hopping on the Colorado bandwagon saying, oh, well, Deion got this player, Deion got that player. Well, the thing is, Deion got this player and got that player last year and still went 4-8.
Well, to be fair, he took over a 1-11 football team.
True. That is true. I will give you that. But I've seen people take over programs like that and within 1 year do pretty well.
You have. Who would that be? Who's taken over a 1-11 football team and done better than 4-8? Who is that?
11 football team, but I'm talking about a team with like a losing record. Didn't UCF do it a few years ago where they had a losing record and then went undefeated?
Well, no, that took another season. So they went 0-12 and Scott Frost went 6-7. Okay.
I mean, okay, you do got a fair point. I will actually agree with you on that.
I'm not defending Deion Sanders. I'm just saying from a purely football standpoint, let's take all the antics and what certain people don't like about Deion Sanders. And again, I believe if we ran a poll of the most liked or loved person in college football, that he would probably win that as well. Typically, people, if they are the most loved or hated, they are also the other, because they're polarizing type people, and that's Deion Sanders, and that's been him his entire life. I'm just saying that we tend to in college football, because the off season is so long, to almost amplify the last season like 3 times, like it's happened for 5 years. That was one season. He improved his team significantly, not drastically, not incredibly, not miraculously. It looked like it the first 3 weeks, but then they looked like the same team that they were the year before pretty much the rest of the season. So we'll see what he's got for this second season. That was a decent first season considering what he inherited, but we'll see if his approach is sustainable in terms of turning over 80 players every year.
Oh, exactly. I don't want him to fail because I feel that would be wrong of me, as I don't want to call myself an analyst, but somebody who watches sports and likes to talk about sports. I don't want to see him fail. I want to see him do well. I don't want to see any coach fail except Neil Brown. So I honestly hope Colorado does well enough to where they meet us in a bowl game. That would be awesome. 2 former Pitt players playing against Pitt, and 2 coaches who I don't want to say don't like each other, but don't necessarily see eye to eye. And that's really all I have to say about that. So you can get on to other callers.
Well, Talk is Pitt. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you very much, Mark. I will be uploading videos later on today, more prediction videos. I think I'm doing, where's my tablet?
Okay.
Carolina.
Thanks, Talk is Pitt. Appreciate you being here. We don't necessarily need to be the promotional platform for other YouTube channels unless I deem that we would like to be the promotional platform for other channels. So typically how that works is if I'm aware that you have a channel and I think you do a decent job based on what I've seen or based on our conversations here, then I will certainly promote your channel from time to time, as we did earlier in the hour. But no, we're not sitting here waiting for somebody to get their tablet to figure out what videos they are going to read off for our viewing pleasure later in the day. All right, we are up against it. About 8 more minutes here at the Voice of College Football, so give me a call. Otherwise, I am going to rant for 8 minutes about what else I've got on my list to hit on. Amazon links in the description section of all the videos. Please use the Amazon link. Transparent to you and your account. Same exact shopping experience. Does not cost you a penny. So please use the Amazon link. And now let's hear from our sponsor.
What's up, everybody? Chris here from Chris Gates Fitness and the online fitness training camp. Thanks for letting me pop in for a few seconds to tell you about what we got going on in training camp this month. And there's a lot happening, okay? The August program dropped just a few days ago. Everybody's getting into their August workouts, having a blast. The private group is full of discussion and chatter about people getting started, which I love to see. We're going to be doing weekly football pick'em here at the end of the month. That's when that starts. I'm going to be giving away free supplements to people who win that. I'm giving away a treadmill in September because we're doing a step count challenge as a group. All kinds of fun stuff coming, so I hope to see you there. Voice of College Football has a discount code, VOICE. You can still get a discount on your first month if you want to jump in. Would love to see you there. Talk to you in training camp.
And please no comments about how much healthier and in shape Chris looks than I do, because we've got that obvious comparison from shot to shot there. Appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Okay. Yeah, Deion. So my final words on Deion, because I'm sure we will talk about Deion at another time. We just uploaded a video with Kevin Bora from our conversation the other day. So I just don't understand why he has to be combative. I think he stepped into the news conference the other day. And again, this is where you have to check yourself when you are in a position of authority, not just celebrity. He's been in that position a million times. And then you take on whatever you want in whatever fashion. And if you look like a jackass, it's on you. It's fine. If I look like a jackass on this show, we could probably have the argument that that's just reflective of me, and that's me, and you can interpret that any way, and that only damages me, my brand, our situation here. However, we do have a lot of fine people that are connected here at the Voice of College Football on our team. Do I need to conduct myself in a certain way to represent them? Okay, that can be debated. This can't be debated. That in Deion Sanders' situation, yes, he is the head coach at the University of Colorado. Don't act like a jackass. That would be my feedback for Deion Sanders. We would love to have Deion Sanders here. I certainly admire the guy, not just for football playing ability. That can't be questioned. That is not questioned in any such way. Okay. The biggest knock against him, maybe he wasn't the most aggressive tackler that ever stepped on a football field, but his football skills, talents, abilities, accomplishments are through the roof. Okay. So let's put that aside. Then he became a celebrity, of course, through his football playing ability. This is all possible because he's a great football player. So he has parlayed that. So kudos to him. Very well. But now he represents a university. Okay. So when he is asked about the bolstering of the offensive line, did he legitimately take exception to that word? Did he just, again, did he sit down thinking, I don't want to be here. I don't want to face these people. I don't like some of these people. I don't like what they've written about me and my program. And I'm just going to act like an ass for the time that I've got to sit here and answer these questions. It seems like it was predetermined. I don't want to be here, and I am going to make it as difficult as possible for these people. That is not being a stand-up man. It's just not. It's being petty, immature. That's what it's being. It's being selfish. So I guarantee you that Deion Sanders understood the question when the term bolstered, the word bolstered was used within. It was not a negative question. It was a complimentary question about you've bolstered your offensive line. What bolstered? What does that mean? Deion Sanders knows what the word means, even though he doesn't use it, which he clearly stated for us. He does not use the word bolstered. Fine. All sorts of words I don't use that I hear and understand. And even if I don't know the exact definition of that particular word, if you are a thinking individual that can put the rest of the sentence together, you can figure out what that word means. So he could have answered the question. Okay. So he's got to make a big deal about the term bolstered. Then he gives the reporter the option of changing the word bolstered, and he comes up with beefed up. He doesn't like beefed up. Improved. Okay, your offensive line's improved. Great. And so at this point, then the reporter, and I don't know if this is a reporter that Deion Sanders has an issue with, or this just happened to be the unlucky son of a gun that asked the first question. I don't know. So then the term chemistry was brought up. We all know what generally somebody is talking about when they use the term chemistry. So Deion asked the reporter to define chemistry. I don't know this for a fact. I cannot state this for a fact, but I'm going to take a guess. I would lay a small wager. Deion Sanders has been in the media as a player or commentator or coach for 35 years. 1988, 87, 88 is when he rose to prominence, 86. I am going to guess. I'll take an educated guess that Deion Sanders himself has used the term chemistry. Maybe once, maybe 10 times, maybe 100 times in 35 years. I'm going to guess that he has. Maybe I'm wrong. He certainly has heard the term and understands what it means. Then he goes I love when people do this. Deion Sanders is telling the media that they don't like each other. I can't state for certain whether he used the term hate. I don't know if he used the term hate. He may have, but I don't want to put that in his mouth. He certainly said, well, you guys don't like each other. Well, if you make a blanket statement like there, I got to think that, yeah, he's probably right that somebody out there doesn't like somebody else. Yeah, that's a fairly safe statement to make. Fairly safe to make. Somebody doesn't like somebody, okay? That would be like me saying, if we have 1,000 people watch this video, there's probably somebody watching who was born in the month of May. Yeah, I can about guarantee that. Okay, fine. So, all right. But to say you guys don't like each other, you guys don't get along, but our team, I didn't hear any accusations that his team did not get along, but he had to emphasize that his team loves each other. And he's one of the best people to evaluate that. Actually, I think his players would be better to evaluate that because they're actually in the locker room when he's not there, and they communicate on text and personally when he's not there. But he is one of the best people, certainly, to evaluate that, have a pulse on that, whether his team loves each other. And that's a clouded word there. They love each other versus he makes an evaluation. He knows that these guys out in the media that are speaking to him, that they don't like each other. Okay, that's ridiculous. All right. Our poll stands at 622 votes. There you go. Most hated man in college football. And I sincerely hope that none of you truly hate anyone. But Deion Sanders leads with 43%, followed by Ryan Day, which, as I explained the other day, was a bit intriguing to me. I did include his name because I know that there is hatred out there for him. And it's kind of interesting to pin down because you would think that if he was beating Michigan, Michigan fans would hate him. He's not beating Michigan, but Michigan fans still seem to be the ones that hate him. I don't know why. Because I don't think Ohio State fans hate him. Now, if he loses again, doesn't fulfill promises again this year, then they may start to hate him. Put up Brian Kelly. Again, we talked about this list the other day, so check that out. There were various reasons in which I chose those 5 coaches that are pretty obvious to most of you. And certainly extending past the college football coaches list, we've got people like Paul Feinbaum that people were suggesting. And in the past, you've got Nick Saban, Urban Meyer, you've got Tim Tebow, Johnny Manziel, people like that. We do appreciate you being here at the Voice of College Football. Unfortunately, we have run out of time. No overtime today. We appreciate you being here. We've got a 7 o'clock Texas show. We've got 10 o'clock Eastern with the USC show with Matt, Tim, and myself. And we will see you then. Hello. We can't miss our buddy Blue Wolverine. We appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for that, Blue Wolverine. Thank you so much for your contribution. And have to love the free time. Yes. So overtime, hopefully another day. And again, I had till 5 o'clock, but we will get work done and you will see it manifest itself here at the Voice of College Football. See you next time.
What's up, everybody? Chris here from Chris Gates Fitness and the online fitness training camp. Thanks for letting me pop in for a few seconds to tell you about what we got going on in training camp this month. And there's a lot happening, okay? The August program dropped just a few days ago. Everybody's getting into their August workouts, having a blast. The private group is full of discussion and chatter about people getting started, which I love to see. We're going to be doing weekly football pick'em here at the end of the month. That's when that starts. I'm going to be giving away free supplements to people who win that. I'm giving away a treadmill in September because we're doing a step count challenge as a group. All kinds of fun stuff coming. So I hope to see you there. Voice of College Football has a discount code VOICE. You can still get a discount on your first month if you want to jump in. Would love to see you there. Talk to you in training camp.